Hello, I'm Jake Boudrot, Civic Journalist at Tellil Community Television. This episode of Strait Talk centers around a project being undertaken by Nova Scotia Power at the Lennox Passage Bridge to replace submarine cables serving the power customers of Alma Dam. The project started late last year and is expected to resume sometime this year. With me today is Nova Scotia Power's Kevin Moore, who's the project implementation lead for the Lennox Passage project. Welcome to Tellil.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Happy to be here.
So last October, Nova Scotia Power provided some information to the public on a project they are undertaking at the Lennox Passage Bridge. At the time, your company explained that Alma Dam customers are connected to the power grid by 3 submarine cables crossing Lennox Passage. They said these cables were placed in the 1980s and are reaching the end of their service. Over the last few years, NSP said the project team has been engaging with Nova Scotia Public Works, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and community groups on the best solutions to upgrade this connection, which includes marine surveys of the crossing. First of all, exactly how long has this engagement process been going on?
The project started back around 2020, 2021. And when we started doing those surveys and started putting together project plans, that revealed to us that there was some more information that we needed to determine, more folks that we needed to talk to. So it's been going on for a few years. Like you mentioned, we spoke to DFO, Public Works. Public Works was a huge stakeholder because it's in the corridor of the old bridge alongside the existing bridge. We spoke to DFO, who spoke to some local fishers on our behalf, and we also spoke to some community members that lived near the bridge. So there were sort of 2 different phases for it. Like the first phase, when we started planning the project, when we got the marine survey results, that's when we started consulting with DFO and Public Works. And then when the construction started to get closer, like late 2024, that's when we started to talk to the homeowners near the bridge, and we sent out the community mail outs to the island to notify people of the project coming up. So to answer your question, there's been various engagements going on over the last several years.
So who is on the project team for Nova Scotia Power, and how many people are on that team?
So I'm the project manager. There's a couple different parts of the construction. So for the drilling work that takes place, for the construction of the drilling work and also for the marine surveying, that's all highly specialized work that we needed to engage contractors for. So for the marine surveying, we had a local contractor do that. And then for the design of the drilling, that was a consultant, a specialized consultant. And then the construction of the drilling was also a specialized contractor. Then the second phase of the project, where we install the cables and the pipes and connect the power to the island, that would involve some additional engineers on the Nova Scotia Power team, in addition to myself, and local technicians from the area as well to run the cables and hook up the power. So a relatively small group. For the marine surveying and for the construction, it's all specialized contractors, and then for the line work to connect the new cables, it's a small group of engineers and technicians.
So you said you consulted with community groups. I assume the inshore fisheries group would be among those?
That's right, yeah. So originally, we did not talk to the inshore fisheries group directly. We got some information from them via DFO. And originally, when we did the marine surveying and we noticed evidence of scallop dragging in the area, we reached out to DFO, who then got some information from local fishers and explained that, yes, there is scallop dragging in the area. And then in the months leading up to construction, we did actually have a direct meeting with Carla Sampson from the Inshore Fishers Association, and we notified her of the project and gave her those details. So yes, we did speak to them.
So what do these marine surveys entail?
They're really interesting. It's basically, we're trying to determine what the seabed looks like. So you go out in a boat, the boat has some specialized equipment on it that allows you to gather all kinds of different data. So essentially, we want to understand, is it deep, is it shallow, is it flat, or does it have slopes, and what's it made of? Is it rocky? Does it have boulders, cobbles? Is it sandy, silty? And what else is down there? Are there foreign objects? Like, could there be abandoned lobster traps? Could there be an old anchor? Could anything that could be down there? And it was through those marine surveys that we identified evidence of scallop dragging.
Now, through this community engagement, Nova Scotia Power learned that replacing the cables with new submarine cables is the best option for customers and the community, given the fishing activity in the area, which you just alluded to. So I assume your company learned that through consultations with the community in that engagement phase, that there was, in fact, as you mentioned, some scallop dragging, but I assume there's also some lobster fishing activity there in that area as well.
Scallop dragging was the main thing that we focused on because our marine surveys found evidence of drag marks. And as you can imagine, a scallop dragger and a submarine cable do not mix. Scallop dragger is high risk to the cable. So that was the main thing we focused on. Lobster fishing, again, I don't know the like the equipment that's used, if it's as destructive to the cable as a dragger would be. So draggers was the main thing we focused on. The other thing I'll mention is we considered even an overhead solution going above ground alongside the bridge, but because people like to take their boats through there as a shortcut around, rather than having to go all the way around Ilma Dam, they go take a shortcut through the Lennox Passage up through the St. Peter's Canal and into the Bredor Lakes. We would need the overhead crossing to be large enough to accommodate those vessels, and that would have resulted in very large structures. So that made us pivot back to the solution of having the cables go across the water. And when we looked at the evidence of the scallop dragging in that tight corridor alongside the bridge, that's how we looked at the drilling option, which would place the cables in pipes that go beneath the seabed. So that way it does not alter the water course. It does not interfere with any scallop dragging or lobster fishing or anything else. And it allows us to more easily replace the cables if they fail or if they need to be replaced due to old age. We can easily just pull the cables out of the pipes, install new cables, and that improves reliability for the island, and it also doesn't interfere with any fishing activities.
Nova Scotia Power said the best option is new underground cables placed into a conduit installed in bedrock by a horizontal directional drilling process. Your company said this process entails crews drilling into the ground on the Burnt Island side and continue under the bedrock to the other side. Approximately how long does it take to do this work?
So that work was completed in the fall. They started around Thanksgiving and it took about a month. So the entire job took about a month.
In a recent social media post, Nova Scotia Power said drilling took place below the seabed last fall. Put the protective pipe in place, and the cables will be installed later this year. When in 2025 is that scheduled to take place?
It's scheduled for summer or early fall, sometime in there.
Do you have an idea when you guys might be able to have a firmer timeline on when that will occur?
Over the next couple of months, we should have more certainty on it. Yes, we're just making our plans for the execution, and then we'll be able to have a more accurate timeline.
Now, Nova Scotia Power said work will take place after the bird nesting season and after the bridge is closed to marine traffic. Your company does not expect any bridge closures for vehicle traffic, but traffic control and lane closures may have to occur. So there will be some disruption to traffic, just won't be closure of the bridge.
So a couple things. So the work happened after the bridge was closed for the season. So that was really good that there was no marine traffic coming through there that would have caused any disruptions. But we were also thinking like the work took place in the old corridor of the old bridge alongside the existing bridge. So the work was never to take place on the highway or on the bridge. If there was ever going to be any traffic disruptions, it would be very temporary for like a large truck to come in and out or something like that. But we never had to close the highway or the bridge for anything during construction. All the work took place in that old corridor alongside the existing bridge. We didn't have to close traffic down at all. And for the second phase of the project where we run the cables and connect the new cables, we don't anticipate any traffic closures for that either.
Now, NSP also noted there will be some noise from the work being undertaken, but Nova Scotia Power noted that it is similar to most road construction projects, and crews will be working within noise bylaw parameters. How loud in decibels are we talking about?
So there's construction on both sides of the water. So the loudest equipment, which would be the drilling equipment, was on the island side of the crossing, and there are no homes over there. So I can say from being on site that it was typical construction noise. And on the Cape Breton side of the crossing, where there were some homes nearby, it was standard construction equipment like pickup trucks, excavators, things like that. And again, it was just typical construction noise. It wasn't excessive. So yeah, noise ended up not being a concern.
Nova Scotia Power added that a planned power outage will have to occur for Almadam customers when it's time to energize the new cables. How long will this disruption be? And I assume that's going to be at the conclusion of the construction phase, which you guys are not sure of right now.
That's right. After we after we install the cables, we'll do some preparatory work on either side with some poles and some other hardware, and then we'll be ready to switch over to the new crossing. We're currently reviewing those details and whether an outage is required. If an outage is required, it would be relatively short, and it would follow our typical process for planned outages, where we give the community lots of notice well in advance. We would describe approximately when we think the outage would be, like what time of day and how many, whether it's an hour or 2 hours or something. We would give all that information well in advance. But right now, we're still working out those details, and we're determining whether an outage is needed.
Now, is this a project that you guys have undertaken elsewhere? And it seems that there's some experience here that you guys are brought to bear in this project here.
So this type of project, horizontal directional drilling, it's not a new technology. It's been done in many places. It's very common for like pipelines and like water mains and things like that. This is the first time Nova Scotia Power has done it for this specific application for power cables to supply customers. So I'm really proud of that this was this was the first time we've done something like this. But the expertise that we hired, like the consultants and the contractors that we hired, they do this every day. This is work that they're experts in, and they have clients all over the country for that. So we're looking into it for other similar projects. We have the submarine cables that supply Almadam. We have similar submarine cables throughout our province, and we're going to be looking into this exact same kind of technology at other sites. It will depend on, every site's different, so it'll depend on feasibility and space and things like that, but we're looking into using it elsewhere.
So it seems like things went well in the first phase. There weren't any problems, and I assume you're anticipating that as you said, this is something that's been done before, so you're anticipating a firm timeline, and it looks like things should hopefully go smoothly.
Yeah, the first phase of the project with the drilling, that was definitely the big milestone, the big part of the project, and that went very well. As I mentioned earlier, the whole project wrapped up in about a month. It was very interesting. It was very exciting. It went quite well. The second phase of running the cables is we do that kind of work every day. We run cables and pipes all over the province, so we don't anticipate any issues with that either.
Well, I really appreciate you answering my questions and speaking with our viewers about this project. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. And I just want to express gratitude for the community. They were in support of this project. The homeowners near the bridge were very supportive and making space for our contractors and cooperating with us there. And the community's been supportive of it, so I'm very thankful of that and looking forward to getting it done.
Well, that's great to hear.
Thank you for watching. Please tune in again to Strait Talk to find out what we will be talking about.